Hello and welcome to Look North, the main news from around Yorkshire today. A boy is airlifted to hospital after an incident at the Lightwater Valley theme park in North Yorkshire. We'll have the latest. And badger baiting rife in North Yorkshire. Now the county's police force takes the lead nationally on fighting the crime. So first, we're on the air with some breaking news. There's been an incident at the Lightwater Valley theme park near Ripon in North Yorkshire. Emergency services are at the scene and a child has been airlifted to hospital after being thrown from a ride. Our reporter Sally Hurst is in our newsroom now. Sally, what can you tell us about this incident?
Well, as you say, details are scant at the moment. Information is coming in. But what we do know is that it's a 6-year-old boy who's been in this accident, and he's been airlifted by the Yorkshire Air Ambulance to the Leeds General Infirmary. And he's reported to be conscious, so his condition is not believed to be life-threatening. But beyond that, the details about what happened, we're relying on eyewitness reports. One eyewitness on Twitter said that he'd seen a boy fall forwards from the Twister, which is a spinning roller coaster ride with waltzer-style cars. They seat 4. It's popular with families. There is a minimum height on that ride of 1.5 metres, so there are restrictions on it, but details are still coming in.
Obviously, we've just seen some of the latest pictures that have just arrived there. This is, of course, not the only incident that's happened there. There was a high-profile incident in Lightwater Valley back in 2001, wasn't there?
That's right, yes. In 2001, 20-year-old Gemma Savage died following a collision at the park on a roller coaster called the Treetop Twister. And in 2006, the manufacturer of that ride, a French company, was convicted of 2 charges of failing to ensure the ride's safe design and construction. But this incident, as we say, details still coming in. The Health and Safety Executive has opened an investigation, and we'll have lots more information on Look North tonight at 6:30. OK, Sally, thank you very much for bringing us up to date. There's been major disruption for rail passengers after Leeds Station was forced to close in this morning's rush hour. Police and ambulance crews were called at breakfast time after a man chained himself to a bridge. All trains were stopped and rail companies had to bring in replacement bus services, causing long delays to journeys. The station has now reopened, but disruption is continuing. Johnny McGuigan reports.
If you're travelling to London King's Cross, please catch the coach to York.
This was Leeds Station just after 9 a.m. Not a train in sight, instead hundreds of passengers boarding rail replacement bus services. British Transport Police and specialist staff from Network Rail were called to the station just after 7:30 this morning. All trains in and out of the station were stopped for several hours as police dealt with a trespasser. Leeds is one of the busiest stations outside of London. An estimated 25,000 people pass through every morning, but for many this morning their journeys were not to be. Trains either cancelled or severely delayed.
Well, we got on the train at Menston at 7:20 and the obviously it didn't get very far. I think it was just past Kirkstall? Yeah, just past Kirkstall, I think, yes, yeah. So we were stuck on there for quite a while, not really knowing what had gone on at first.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to go home now, get a taxi home and actually drive to Liverpool.
We're waiting for further transport, maybe a lift to get us there. I know obviously they're doing all they can to get a coach there, but it is what it is, isn't it? It's just dreadful.
The station reopened just after 10, with passengers trapped on trains outside the station, escorted from the platforms. However, disruption is expected to continue for the rest of the day, with train operators telling passengers not to travel unless absolutely necessary. They say tickets for today will be valid tomorrow. Johnny McGuigan, BBC Look North at Leeds Station.
The fight to protect badgers from criminals is being stepped up in North Yorkshire. The police says badger baiting and other crimes against the creatures is rife and that they're determined to bring those responsible to justice. A team of wildlife officers is working with the RSPCA to prosecute people who harm and disturb badgers. North Yorkshire Police is also taking the national lead against the crimes, sharing intelligence and good practice with other forces. You might find some scenes in my report upsetting.
You'd be extremely lucky to come across a scene like this. A group of badgers looking for food in the countryside. For most of us, they're creatures to be loved. But for years, they've also been the victims of dangerous criminal gangs. And if you thought badger baiting was a thing of the past, think again. In places like North Yorkshire, it's a crime that's rife.
From the years 2016 to 2018, there was over 1,350 incidents reported to the police, and that's from persecution to badger digging. It's such a big demand on policing, I don't think the public know how big it is.
Determined to stamp out this so-called criminal sport, North Yorkshire Police is now leading the country on tackling crimes against badgers, sharing intelligence and good practice with other forces.
It's brutal, it's barbaric for the badgers and for the dogs. It's often very well planned, there's money that gets exchanged with it. And an example is you can't just go with your dog and go and commit this type of crime. You've really got to know what you're doing because there's a lot of risk involved and there's a lot of planning. You need to have the right equipment and it appeals to people who in society are the worst type of people.
A team of 41 wildlife police officers in North Yorkshire work alongside the RSPCA to prosecute people involved in hurting and disturbing badgers.
If you get caught, you can go to prison, you can lose your dog, you can be disqualified from keeping dogs. It's a very serious crime and the public expect these cases to be investigated and they will be investigated. We have to stop it. We have to say we're taking a proactive and a reactive approach to try and combat this crime, which is so horrific to badgers and indeed to the dogs.
It's great to see this chap is doing really well.
At Whitby Wildlife Sanctuary, they're used to looking after poorly badgers, so the thought of people deliberately hurting them is upsetting.
I can't comprehend at all why somebody would take pleasure from killing a badger or any wild animal for that matter.
In a county where cross-border crime is a real problem, North Yorkshire Police is also sharing information with its neighbouring forces, determined to protect the much-loved badger from this extreme cruelty a few think of as a sport. Ian White, BBC Look North, Rydale.
One of my favourite reporters. Now, cricket. Mixed fortunes for England's Yorkshire boys so far at the World Cup against South Africa. Johnny Bairstow was out without scoring, but Joe Root has led England's recovery with a 50. Meanwhile, at Headingley, Yorkshire's final day against Hampshire has already been interrupted twice by rain. Gary Balance's century has helped Yorkshire to reach 239 for 4 in their second innings. That's a lead of 185, with Hampshire's second innings still to come if the weather holds for long enough. I wonder. Well, here he is, right on cue to tell us.
Well, it's like the Ian White show, you might as well do the weather as well.
No, I better not do that.
OK, well, there's been a couple of stoppages. As Ian's pointed out at Headingley, I think most of this afternoon should be dry. Always a chance, though, of a few light drizzly showers coming through on what's quite a stiff southwest wind. A definite west-east split this afternoon. The best of the weather will be in eastern areas where it's going to be bright and warm, but we're pulling some very mild air in, so even though it's fairly cloudy in Leeds at the moment, temperatures are already up to 18 and 19 degrees. Weather front's never far away over the next few days, so in general there will be a lot of cloud around. But it's going to be warm, especially across more eastern parts. You can see the extent of the cloud, and that cloud actually breaks up, if you notice, towards the coast. So that's where the best of the weather will be. A lovely afternoon in Whitby, Filey and Scarborough. Always more cloud in the west and an ongoing risk of a little rain or drizzle, especially across the Yorkshire Dales. But temperatures very nice, certainly much higher than they have been. 21 Celsius is 70 Fahrenheit. Overnight, then, that cloud thickens from time to time to bring some rain and drizzle, especially to northern and western areas. Elsewhere, it's dry and an exceptionally mild night to come with temperatures in double figures. So for tomorrow, it's more of the same with a bit of light rain and drizzle over the Pennines, but once you get to the east of high ground, it should be dry. A lot of cloud at times, but there will be some bright or sunny intervals, and that will lift temperatures to a very pleasant 21 Celsius, perhaps 22 across Derbyshire and the eastern parts of South Yorkshire. OK, Saturday, still a lot of cloud in places. Might give some drizzle across the Pennines, but elsewhere it's fine. And the sun should come out in the afternoon, actually, lifting temperatures to a very pleasant 23 degrees. But Sunday looks more unsettled, more cloud, still warm, but an increased risk of showers or some rain. That is the forecast, Ian.
Thank you very much. An accurate one, too.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with the latest on that incident at Lightwater Valley in Look North at 6:30. For now, then, good afternoon.